How's it going? All right, a little different today. Not doing any seeds just yet. Probably will in a little bit, but wanted to go through the quiz, the big test. Quizzes and tests are fun. Everybody loves them, right? That's what I tell myself. That's what I promise myself. Yeah, put together a little quiz earlier that I threw out to the group in the Moogle's First Tournament channel in the Final Fantasy 6 Worlds Collide Discord, which of course everybody in here should already be in, but put a quiz together, and so far the results have been kind of all over the place. We've had some passes, some fails. Most people are getting most of them, but what I thought would be interesting to do, because I mean, clearly I'm not a good judge of what's interesting to do if I've made a quiz for a video game that we play, so I'm not a good judge of this, but I thought it would be interesting to go through and basically take up the test. I mean, that's what you do at school, right? You finish the test and the teacher takes up the test with the class. Figured we'd do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through the results, going to go through each question, talk about what the right answer was, and then I want to talk about where you would go to find that answer. What I tried to do with this quiz was kind of take a cross-section that touched upon all the different relevant things in Worlds Collide or Final Fantasy VI in general. So if you were able to answer all the questions in this quiz, which for the record, nobody has been, everybody's gotten at least one wrong, myself included, sadly. But basically, if actually, maybe that's not true. I think somebody might have aced it by now. Yeah, I think one person did ace it, but essentially, if you were able to answer every question here, then that would suggest that you probably know most of the things on it. But since most people got at least one wrong, then that means that there's opportunities for improvement. So rather than just giving a person a fish or giving a Sid a fish, we're going to teach a Sid how to catch fish. You know, I thought it was going to make more sense, and then I said it, and the analogy didn't work. So let's hop over to my screen. So fair warning. This is a giant spoiler warning with an S, a capital S even. I guess, you know, all spoiler warnings have an S. This is a capital S. If you have not done the quiz yet, go take the quiz. Here is a link to it, assuming I got my bot command correct. Yeah, I sure did. So if you haven't taken the quiz yet, mute my stream, close the window, don't listen to me for a bit. You're only going to ruin it for yourself. This is a quiz that there's no real reward for getting it right. I guess you could sort of flex, but even that is kind of suspect. So don't ruin it for yourself. Take the quiz. It's a great idea to kind of give yourself a sort of checkup on what you know, where you can shore things up. Giving you a couple more seconds. I'm stalling here. Turn it off. Walk away. Go cut the grass or something. Take the quiz, then come back. All right. I'm assuming that you've left. You're no longer here. I miss you already, but let's talk about the quiz. So hopefully my yeah, just make sure I don't have any suspect tabs. I always look at people's tabs when they share their windows, and I can't stop myself, which I used to when I was doing the weekly draft. This is stuff I'll have to edit out of the VOD, but when I was doing the weekly draft, I'd always make sure to have a couple Google tabs open with searches like "Are espers real?" Chocobo egg recipes, things like that. Nobody ever commented on it. Made myself laugh though. Okay, so the quiz will go in. Make sure my music's still working. Okay, we're gonna go through in, I guess, the order it's in here. This is not actually the order I made it in, but we're gonna just sort of go with the. Actually, no, we'll do it in the proper order. So let's go, and you're going to see the answers as we go through it. By the way, there's the results so far. Yeah, I guess it's good to do it like this. So, question 1. Which of the following are shadow checks? Check all that apply. So I started it. I mean, I say I started it, but the questions are in a random order for everybody who goes on. But originally, I was going to write it so that it started with easy ones and worked its way to harder ones. I don't know if anybody's ever made quizzes or exercises or training or anything like that. It's actually kind of hard to guess what's going to be hard and what's going to be easy. So I just shoveled everything. I copped out. Anyhow, this is a really important skill, I think, or knowledge about the randomizer for anybody. Knowing what characters unlock what checks, super important. You can really make this a little easier on yourself by running a tracker, ideally an auto tracker. Lots of good options out there. I use Kibasiago's auto tracker. It's wonderful. It works with basically no fiddling. There are people out there who still use Emo Tracker. Drulith has Illumina, which does some great tracking as well. There are wonderful options out there. Most of them have, I think, documentation and instructions on the Worlds Collide Discord. Check those out, use those. Those will always give you an idea of what checks you have available based on your character, so you don't have to memorize all this stuff, but sooner or later you will memorize it anyway. So, which of the following are shadow checks? This is one of the potential trick questions on here. I tried not to put trick questions on here. Like, there's no gotcha questions, but there's a couple who are, there's a couple that were a little tricky. Yeah, knowledge quiz. Check how much you know. Yeah, we're doing a quiz for Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide Randomizer. So, which of the following are shadow checks? Only two of them were. Gao's father's house, which you would think would be a Gao check, but no, it's a shadow check. Yeah. Who knows why, but it's a shadow check. The reason is, so this is sort of the Worlds Collide logic, right? That checks are supposed to be where a character was found or had an important event happen to them in the original game. So for instance, Phoenix Cave, iconic locked location, therefore Phoenix Cave is a lock check. Gao's father's house in the game originally, at one point you can find Shadow hanging out in front of Gao's dad's house. He's sitting by the well, you go up there, you hire him. Basically that happens right at the beginning of Sabin's scenario. That's why it's a Gao check. And then the floating continent, of course, is a shadow check. These others are not shadow checks. So the Phantom Train, if you were just thinking from the game, you might think so, because Cyan or Shadow's probably around at that part of the game. In fact, I think on the PlayStation version, Shadow's in the FMV cutscene for the Phantom Train. But it's not a shadow check. That's a Sabin check. The Kolingen Cafe, another spot where you can hire him in vanilla, but in Worlds Collide, that's a Setzer check, because that's where you find Setzer in the World of Ruin. Albrecht Ferry Ride is not even a check. I mean, he does ride a ferry in the game. He gives Terra some bad love advice. Not a check. Coliseum Striker, not a check in Worlds Collide either. That is, again, kind of a vanilla thing. Burning House is a Strago check, even though Shadow shows up at the end in vanilla. It's a Strago check. Defeat Sealed Cave Ninja, not a check at all. That's occasionally a quest objective, but not a check, never a check. The ninja has no relationship to Shadow that we know of, and Umaro's Cave is certainly nothing to do with Shadow. If you're ever wondering who unlocks what checks, where you'd want to go is the Worlds Collide wiki. Roll in here. You want to go to checks right there. This lists all the checks. This is basically them in order, but if you want to find them by character, you click on this check by sorted by character gate, and then you can see it broken down. You can see that right here, Gao's father's house, Floating Continent, and Velt Cave are all shadow checks. So this is a great spot to go to learn who unlocks what checks. You start to get a feel for which characters unlock the good stuff and which ones don't. I should really put kind of a colored box behind that chat, shouldn't I? Here, let's fix this real quick. Bear with me for 2 seconds. I think I have one. Can I copy that? Can I paste it over here? That's almost helpful. Let's put it behind there. Okay, well, that'll help in a bit. Joined the Discord a while ago, just started playing the randomizer yesterday, followed the tutorial video with the starter seed. The video is about 2 hours long, took me 6 hours to get through the video and the game. Yeah, your first time's gonna be long. I think my first time was pretty long too. It comes to you pretty quick. I think the first time I ran through Worlds Collide, it was slow, laborious. I had no idea how people were beating it in 2 hours, let alone 4. Didn't know where I was going. Had to keep checking like the guides and like checking all the different things to figure out where I was going. Kept pausing and watching Ravlin's Moogles for a seed video. The second one went a lot better, and like by the third one you start getting the hang of things. You start remembering which checks mean which, but yeah, the first couple times you've got the tracker open. I didn't even know what icons or what checks, so it comes to you. And this is where you'd find all those checks. And you can see at the bottom, all these ones that are not character gated. I was going to make a question about which ones are open, but I didn't. But these are all checks you can do anytime. Doesn't matter what characters you have. It was long because speedrun doesn't apply to people who are OCD and what's in the box. Yeah, yeah. This is a tough one. If you love opening every single chest and wanting to see what's around every corner, you are going to have some long runs. But we do have, I think, a regular weekly race too that we do with 100% completion. So if you're on the Discord, I think you'll see in the races channel, there's a Revenge of the Hundo event that shows up about every week, pretty casual event. And I believe that is a race where you have to get every character and every Esper. So it appeals to the completionists out there among us. So that is the answer to question 1. What are the following? Which of the following are shadow checks? It's those two. It was always those two. Next question. Which of the following checks can be peeked? The reward is visible at some point before completing the check. If you said, oh, I can now click on them and you will see the answer. Ah, this is perfect. It's like I planned it. Okay, so we have 6 here. Mobley's, Abbott's Rock, Burning House, Search the Sky, Esper Mountain, Leet River. A few people got this one wrong. So peekable checks in Worlds Collide are any check that you see the reward beforehand. Sometimes you see it very far beforehand. Sometimes you see it just before you get it. So some of the really good peaks, Esper Mountain. Esper Mountain's down here. Spoiler, that's one of the peekable checks. When you walk in Esper Mountain, as you kind of start going in there, very quickly you're going to see the reward show up. It's either you're going to see like a ghost or an Imperial soldier or a merchant. That means it's going to be a character or an Esper, or a character or an item. If the check reward is going to be a character, you're going to see that character running through the mountain instead. Another really good example of a kind of late peek is Daryl's Tomb. So when you're doing Daryl's Tomb, when you click on the tomb at the end, it'll say the reward sleeps here. It'll tell you exactly where you're going to get. So it'll say Edgar sleeps here, or Cat Hood sleeps here, or Starlet sleeps here. Sometimes it'll say Ragnarok sleeps here, which is a little more confusing because you're not sure whether that's Ragnarok the Esper or Ragnarok the Sword, but that's a peekable check. The advantage of knowing peekable checks is they're often good to save for later in the game. Once you've kind of done all your characters and Espers to get to Kefka's Tower, or you've done maybe only your characters, but you haven't done all your Espers yet, peekable checks come in handy then, as you can kind of go to those checks, and if it's another character that you don't need, you get out of there. You warp out, you reset to your last save, you skip it. You save yourself some time. Learning where some of the peaks are is kind of another thing to know about. So some peaks are not intuitive. For example, Umaro's Cave. The reward at Umaro's Cave, the peak for that is actually in a completely different world. You peak Umaro's Cave by going to Narsh in the World of Balance. So Umaro's Cave is World of Ruin at the back of World of Ruin Narsh. To find out what's in there ahead of time, whether it's a character or not, you would go up the mountain in World of Balance Narsh, and as you're going to the back where the Welk lives, you'll see peeking out of a hole either nothing or the character, who's a reward for Umaro's Cave. Another kind of obscure peek is Mobley's Attack. In fact, those are the two here, Mobley's Attack and Esper Mountain. Mobley's Attack, you go to the first house, so not the house that starts the event, but the other house. You talk to a little girl in there. There's a bunch of them, so you have to kind of pick the right one. She's usually running around the middle of the room, and she will say, "You're not going to take the reward away, are you?" And if she says, "You're not going to take Locke away," or "You're not going to take Carbuncle away," then you know it's that character Esper. If she says, "You're not going to take Force Shield away, are you?" then you know it's only a Force Shield and you shouldn't do that check. Abbott's Rock, not peekable. You run through, you do a bunch of coral, you have no idea what you're going to get, you fight the boss. It's only after you fight the boss that you either get a Magicite or an item, or you get a cutscene where he's talking away to a character that you've just earned. Burning House, exactly the same thing. You finish a check, either you get the reward, or there's a slow cutscene and then the character who you're going to get drops and you get the character. Search the Skies, not peekable. You do the little menu prompt or you get ganked by Doomgaze, you kill him, and then after either an Esper or a little shiny glimmering item drops on the deck, you can't do anything before you get that. And Leet River, again, no peek. You ride the river. At the end of the river, you fight a boss, and then when you finish the boss, if it's a character, you get the character. If it's a Esper, you get the Esper. If it's an item, you get an item. Finding out where the peekable checks are. Most of these descriptions will say it. So if you kind of go back to these checks here, you can see most of them will say whether they're peekable. Like right here, collapsing house. Enter the collapsing house and Zen, find the child. You can see the reward NPC/character standing outside the house before you go into it. That was kind of awkward actually, because you can't leave town if you start the event. You have to load a save, but that's one way to do it. The other thing, and this is some shameless self-promotion here, but if you go to the guides in the Worlds Collide wiki and you go to this Double Towns Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide guide, this is the guide I wrote, and I get $20 every time somebody clicks on it, so please keep clicking on it. I'm kidding, there's no money in it, but at the end I did like a check by check list, and all the peekable ones I put a note of where it's peekable. So Figaro Castle Throne, peekable, the reward sitting right there on the throne. Figaro Castle Engine Room, it's peekable, the reward is character. They'll be leading the thieves through the South Figaro caves and will be waiting in the engine room. You're just in there looking at that. Well, if you see any spelling errors or grammar errors, hey, you must be an anonymous mink. But yeah, so I tried to highlight all the peekable ones. Again, some of the peaks are very useless. I think I point out a couple annoying ones that are pretty much useless, but like Zozo, Terra's Zozo check is peekable. That as you're about to get the reward, it's sitting right there. So I guess you could not take it if you didn't want to get scaling up, but usually you just take the reward. That's question 2. So next question, which of the following checks have monsters in a box available during the check? So this is important. In Worlds Collide, there are, I believe, 11 monsters in a box. They all shuffle amongst each other. So any monster or any chest that was a monster in a box in vanilla is a monster in a box in Worlds Collide. It will only have one of the 11 different monster in a box encounters, but they're all shuffled and they drop whatever they would have dropped in vanilla. So if you fight Gigantos, you will get a Hardened. If you fight Master Pug, you will get a Gratus. If you fight Katana Soul, which is probably what you're fighting them for, you will get the Offering and a whole bunch of gold. As a result, it's good to know where the monsters in a box are. Whether you want to go after monsters in a box or not is sort of another discussion topic. It kind of depends. For me, I usually don't bother unless I've got an ammo weapon or a Valiant knife in hand. Some people, if they have Locke, they will go for monsters in a box because of the hope that they'll find something that's good with an offering. Locke has a lot of items in his equipability that are good with offerings. Again, ammo weapon, VK, sniper, I guess. So that's sort of the argument there. Whether or not you want to go through them, it's always good to sort of plan around where those monsters in a box are, just in case you are in the market for them. Then you can maybe prioritize checks that have them. That's why it's a good idea to know this. I think there's 1 or 2 monsters in a box that are just open. So the most famous being the one in front of Narsh in the beginner's house. You can always grab that one. It's not gated behind anything. Most of them are gated behind one check or another. So the question here was, which ones do have monsters in a box? Sealed Gate, there's no monster in a box. The closest thing, there's a ninja you can fight, but there's no monster there. So all the chests are just free stuff. The Imperial Camp, there is a monster in a box right near the end, just before, basically north of where you fight Kefka for the second time in that tent. The chest in the top left is where you would fight Telstar in the original Final Fantasy VI, so that's a monster in a box. Often a good idea to do it after the check because you can kind of go up and around and jump down. However, don't do it if you're afraid of losing to the monster in a box. If you are not sure that you can beat Katana Soul, then maybe do that first, so you don't do the whole check and then die to Katana Soul, because Katana Soul is a scary man. Phoenix Cave, no monster in a box. Phantom Train, I always forget about this one, but there is a monster in a box. It's in one of the last train cars. There's a row of chests, and the far left one is a monster in a box. Collapsing house, there's two of them. Two in the collapsing house. There's one right north of the stairs as you're going down from the main floor to the basement, and the other one is beside the fireplace to the left of the kid that you rescue in the basement. So two monsters in a box. If you have timers on, plan accordingly. You don't want to run out of time doing the collapsing house because you were too busy banging your head against Katana Soul for an hour. And the burning house does not have monster in a box. It has monsters that jump you if you go into the wrong room, and it's got fireballs that are themselves monsters, but they're freed from any boxes they may have been in. All of the boxes in the burning house are just full of goodies. And there you have it. Imperial Camp, Phantom Train, Collapsing House. Where can you find this answer? I think I put it in my guide. I talked about monsters in a box in my guide. No, I just said there's 11 of them. So this might be listed on here actually. I thought it was. If not, the other spot, I mean, you can Google that one. I think I would probably just Google that one if I was kind of being honest. So you can probably remember where the 11 are in general though. We already talked about that there's 2 in the burning or collapsing house, 1 in Narsh, 1 in the cave to the ancient castle, 1 in the ancient castle itself. So there's 2 in that check as well. Floating Continent's got 1. Phantom Train has 1. Imperial Camp has 1. I'm missing 3, right? Daryl's Tomb has 1. I've got 2 more. Cave on the Veldt. There's one of the Cave on the Veldt, and there's 1 more. Shoot, I might have forgotten where the last one is. Nowhere important then. Give me a shout if somebody remembers where the 11th one is. It's not Fanatic's Tower. I don't know why I would have thought it would be there. It's clearly not one I get very often, if I can't think of it, so I am not a big Monster in a Box fan, to be honest. I often skip them. Either way, that's Monsters in a Box. The next question. Which of the following are potential item rewards from a check? So, when a check does not give you a character or an esper, it gives you an item. These items are considered high tier or high value items. They are usually pretty worthwhile and numb the pain a little bit of a check not helping you out. It's sort of good to know what you can get. You can sort of plan around that. These are also the items you always get for killing dragons or Toilet Atma. They're usually pretty good. Some of them are less pretty good than others. The Genji equipment is in this list. It's not that good. It's fine, I guess, if you like Genjis. So, which of the following are potential items? Basically the good stuff on here. Experience Egg? Yes. Tintinabar? No. Tintinabars are dumb. Fixed Dice? Yes. Greatest? No. Greatest is only reward from Master Pug in the Monster in a Box pile. Cursed Shield? No. Cursed Shield can only usually be gotten from the the house north of the Relic Shop in Narsh. Sometimes you'll get it from random chests depending on if the no free Paladin Shield or Cursed Shield flag is on, but most of the seeds you'll encounter, Cursed Shields, are usually just from that one spot. Sometimes there's human stores too in non-standard seeds. Marvel Shoes, yes. Unfortunately, they're not that good. Red Cap, yes. Not bad, but sometimes underwhelming. Red Jacket, no. And Regal Crown, no. I think Red Jacket used to be, but is not anymore. Probably some folks who'd be happy if it was, but it ain't. So there you have it. XP Egg, Fixed Dice, Marvel Shoes, Red Cap. This list is found right here at the top of that checks list again. So right there, item rewards are randomly selected with a uniform distribution. The possible items are there. Again, mostly good stuff. Only a few are immediate giant difference makers. So obviously Illumina and Ragnarok come to mind as the big ones. Valiant Knife and Atma Weapon is usually there as well. It says at the bottom, if a stronger Atma Weapon flag is on, Atma Weapon is in this list. Stronger Atma Weapon is almost always on. I don't see too many sets other than like Chaos Seeds that don't have stronger Atma Weapons. So yeah, Atma Weapon, usually in that list. Most of these are impactful. Oh, Paladin Shield is usually not a reward from these. Paladin Shield would be in there if no free Paladin Shields was off. In a lot of seeds it's on, so you won't expect to see Paladin Shields too often. But yeah, the big difference makers you'll see in here. I mean, XP Egg is huge. Illumina, Ragnarok, Valiant Knife, Atma weapons are big. Genji gloves and offerings are pretty impactful. Minervas are a pretty big deal usually. Fixed dice, I guess. And then some of the other things are either more situational, so the lances, or kind of limited equipability. The behemoth suit is kind of an issue there, where only a couple people can usually equip that. Marvel shoes is fine, but it competes with a lot of relics for space. And then the Genji stuff is whatever. Gem box is pretty situational. Elemental shields are great. Usually you're moderately happy to see those, but depends on the situation, I suppose. So get used to that list, plan around it. And then when you start getting nothing but Genji helmets and Genji armors, you can justifiably feel disappointed with how things are going. All right, next up, which of the following can be used to avoid Sleep's attack calmness? So sleep. Sleep is the third part of Kefka, Final Kefka. Accompanied by rest, or no, accompanied by lady or girl. So there's lady / girl and sleep / rest, depending on what version you're playing. We'll go with girl and sleep because we're playing Super Nintendo, Final Fantasy 3. They both have an attack called Calmness. The one that girl does, you don't see it too often, and it doesn't really matter. I think it just puts you to sleep. Who cares? Sleep's attack, Calmness, does not put you to sleep. It kills you. He uses it once or possibly twice when he dies, just before you move on to Final Kefka. This is obviously a problem because you do not want your people to die immediately before transitioning to Final Kefka. That is what we would call a bad thing. So we look for things called Calmness Protection. Calmness Protection is anything that makes you immune, or at least incredibly likely to not get eliminated by calmness. Calmness is a physical attack that does like a one-shot, but it is still a physical attack, so that means physical evasion is effective. Anything that would let you dodge a big fist will mostly let you dodge calmness. By that reckoning, we can look at this list. Vanish. Yes, makes you invisible. You can't get punched by things, therefore you can't get calmness. Shadow Edge. Shadow Edge is just another way to give you the image status. So more commonly you see image from Fenrir and from Mirage Vests. Shadow Edge is something you kind of don't think about too often, but it also does that. And makes you immune to calmness. Zone Seek does not. Zone Seek gives you Shell. Shell is magic protection. It mitigates damage. None of these things are relevant. Big Guard, also no good. Safe, Shell, Regen, none of those help you against calmness. They don't increase your evasion. Defend Command does not help you. That only reduces damage from things. And again, this isn't a damage thing. Fenrir, yes, Fenrir gives you Image. Image makes you immune to calmness. And Hide is not a thing in Final Fantasy VI. That was me being a little cutesy. Hide is something Edward does in Final Fantasy IV. If you were here for the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise quiz, that is actually 2 doors down on the right. Tell them Double Down sent you and ask them where Yong's wife's pan is, I guess. I don't know. So the answers: Vanish, Shadow Edge, Fenrir. This is not an exhaustive list. There are other options. I think I put them in my guide. I believe I talked about it in Endgame Go mode. Nope. I talked about Calmness Protection, and then later I've got a section of when to go to Kefka's Tower, and I believe I talk about it there. No, I don't talk about it there either. It's something I need to put in my guide, and I'm actually working on a video that I'm going to put together on a guide for fighting Kefka, but the good news is my guide is not the only guide on here, and there are some other really good guides here. So one guide, and I will admit that when I first started playing Worlds Collide, I had this thing up on a monitor every single time I fought Final Kefka. This guy right here. This will walk you through everything you need to do in Final Kefka. So you can see it sort of walks you through what each person does, usually gives you an idea of what order to do things in, gives you a very brief description of what's going on here. This little image is wonderful. I would, again, keep it open. You can see here, it talks about high evade / M evade helps a lot, Fenrir Golem. So things that are good for calmness protection. Actually here, you know what? I've got a, move that over, but that's a script for my video I'm making. But calmness protection, in rough order, I think of how easy / good it is to use. Golem summon, Fenrir summon, those both make you immune. Mirage Vest, and then Shadow Edge. So Fenrir, Mirage Vest, Shadow Edge always get that image status. Then you get into Phantom. So Phantom makes your whole team invisible. It's a little trickier to use because you need to time it so that it doesn't immediately get knocked off by media or train. Life 3 is calmness protection. You can use Life 3 so that if you get killed by calmness, your guy comes back to life before you move on. The only possible way that gets screwed up is if Sleep uses calmness twice. He hits your Life 3 person, they come back to life, then he hits them again. It's definitely happened. I've seen it happen. It sucks when it happens. Beads. Beads are pretty safe. You're not 100% immune if you're using beads, but you get a whole bunch of physical evasion and you cut the chance of it hitting in half even before that evasion gets worked in. So you're probably pretty safe. And then high evasion. Again, this is not a complete list. There's a couple other things like you can sort of use jump and Palador to get away from it, but I still like somebody's going to be exposed at that point. And Interceptor. Shadow has natural protection that half the time Interceptor will take the calmness for you. So that's calmness protection. Next question. Which of the following elements does Atma, Toilet Atma, absorb? So the second Atma weapon, Big John Atma, who lives in a jail cell, he absorbs a number of elements. And the elements he absorbs, it's actually kind of easy to remember. He absorbs everything that's not one of the big three. So fire, ice, thunder, those guys, you know, there's fire 3, ice 3, bolt 3. Those are sort of your 3 prime elements. He does not absorb those. He takes those like a champ. He's immune to all the other ones. Water, wind, earth, pearl, poison. This is sort of interesting practice for Girl, who we just saw a minute ago in tier 3 of Final Kefka, except Girl also absorbs the other 3. So usually people have access to fire, ice, or thunder, and if you do, smoke them if you got them, you're good to go here. If you wanted to learn more about boss weaknesses and things like that, this is something that you probably absorb over time, but I would definitely recommend getting familiar with. The more you can exploit boss weaknesses, the faster you can kill bosses. Getting through encounters quickly is a very important thing to be able to get through seeds quickly. The boss weakness spreadsheet right here is a great rundown of it. I will warn you, it is not 100% accurate. You will find a couple things that are just not quite right. It is 90% accurate. If you want to look for a specific boss, this is the website I always go to, gamercorner.net, guides.gamercorner.net. There's a Final Fantasy VI section. We can just go right to Atma, monsters, Atma. Nope, that's not him here. Then we'll click on that. Atma, there he is. And look at that. Purple, absorb HP from water, absorb HP from wind, absorb HP from earth. So everything you need to know about Atma is right there. Just bear in mind, this is vanilla information, so the HP is not going to be accurate, but everything else should be pretty much spot on. He will use the abilities you see here. Again, and this is something I didn't include in the quiz, but there's ability scaling. So if it says here he'll use Bolt 3, that could actually mean he's going to do something like Gigavolt or Bolt 2 or Bolt 1, depending on where you are in scaling. But again, this gives you an idea of what to expect. So that's Atma. Next question. Which of the following items allow the wearer to fully ignore or absorb damage from the spell Merton? Another tricky question that I think a couple of people got hung up on. There's one item on here that I always hear people refer to as Merton protection or think will protect them from Merton, and it won't. So Merton. Merton is the core piece of Merton strats. You can cast Merton, it does a whole bunch of fire and wind damage to everybody, both you and your enemies. It's a fast animation, it does a ton of damage, it's a great spell if you can mitigate the side effect of cooking you and your friends. So what you're looking for, items that render you immune to or absorb fire or wind. If you can become invincible to one of those things, you're safe here. So that means you're looking for things like the elemental shields. All of them help you out here. Fire and ice shields either give you absorb or immunity to fire, and then thunder shields give you immunity to wind, which means you're Merton immune with any of those. Anything that gives you protection to basically all the elements will help you out. So Minerva, great example of that. And so looking at this list, we have the flame shield, absorbs fire. You're laughing. If you have a full team of flame shield wearing people and a Minerva, and you're casting Merton, you're going to be laughing. You're going to be doing a ton of damage. You're going to be constantly topped up on health. You are in the driver's seat as long as you don't fight something that's immune to fire or wind. I don't want to say any examples, but there's one guy right up here in the previous question. Rage Ring. Don't forget about the Rage Ring. So the Rage Ring, if we look it up on this website, Rage Ring is, of course, originally a thing to put on the Sasquatch. Gives him his attack where he throws people. What it also does, absorb HP from fire. The Rage Ring makes you elemental immune, or absorbs fire, and also makes you immune to thunder. So great item, gives you a little bit of vigor. Who cares? But if you can equip it, which by the book only Umaro can, but if you have somebody else who can wear it, great. The other one, Blizzard Orb, same thing, makes you no effect from fire. So both of the Yeti accessories make you Merton immune. Blizzard Orb is usually better because it gives you a magic power bonus. Magic power is far more valuable than a vigor bonus. So if given the choice, usually you'll take a Blizzard Orb. And it's a good way to get Merton immunity from a relic without using your shield or your armor slot. So this is usually useful when you've got like a Genji glove setup. You don't have room for a shield, or if you have somebody who can't wear Minerva, so you've got like a guy character who can't wear Minerva, and you don't have any elemental shields, Blizzard Orb, pretty good bet. Snow Muffler. People think Snow Muffler will do the job. Well, let's look up the old Snow Muffler. And here's the problem with Snow Muffler. It makes you absorb from ice, but fire only 50% damage. So it's not bad. I mean, it's going to give you 50% protection, but you're still going to get cooked. Not quite as cooked as usual, but you're still getting cooked. This is not Merton protection. There are a few other items that give you this half protection. If you have somebody with really good magic defense, I guess you could probably stack this on there and maybe do okay, but this is usually pretty suspect. You're going to be damaging yourself on purpose, which is not always a great thing. So do not think that your Snow Muffler will keep you safe. It will not. Blizzard Orb, we talked about that. Blizzard Orb is great Merton protection. Air Shield, I made it up. I can pull up a YouTube video of Jonathan Frakes saying you're wrong. We made it up. Not this time. But Air Shield, I made it up. Cat Hood, same as the Snow Muffler, actually. So same type deal. If you look at the Cat Hood, I believe it gives you 50% protection from a whole bunch of elements, including fire. So Cat Hood, not usually something you want to rely upon for Merton protection. The Fire Ring. Fire Ring would make you immune to fire. The only problem is it is an item from Final Fantasy VII, and therefore we can't use it in Final Fantasy VI, so that one's no good either. The combination of the air shield is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you have to go around Kefka's Tower 12,345 times, and then you get an air shield in your inventory. Or if you decurse a thunder shield. And the Red Jacket. Red Jacket does do it. Red Jacket makes you, as we can see on this handy website, Red Jacket, which is not a high tier item, as we've learned. Red Jacket, no effect from fire. Usually only Eddie and Sabin can use it, but fine item if you have it. Gives you some bonuses for some bad stats and a tiny helping of magic power. Merton protection, I did go over in my guide, so if you're looking for that, you can go to Merton strats, and there I've listed items that absorb it. There's the 3 of them. Items that negate it, there's 5 of them. Items that have it, there's the 5 of them. Don't forget, there's a couple of rages that do it. I think I mentioned them here. The main one to consider there is Woolly. Woolly is great rage. It casts Ice 3, and it's Merton immune, so yeah. There's also a couple rages that cast Merton. So Mover and Daedalus are the 2 big ones that come to mind. Good way to cast Merton if you don't actually have it from an Esper. Next, which of the... Oh, there's the right answer. If you're scoring your own test. I don't know why you would. The system scores it for you, but if you're scoring your own test, there's the answers. Next question. Which of the following checks are guaranteed progression? It can only be either a character or Esper, not an item. So we have 8 here. Some checks only give you characters or Espers. These are really handy for a very obvious reason, because you know you're getting something that's probably going to help you. You usually don't want items from a check, so this is usually a good thing. Some of these are not those. Some of these do not have all 3 that they can give you. So a few of these are Esper only, or Esper and item only, but some of these are not guaranteed progression. Search the Skies, not guaranteed progression. When you fight Doomgaze, you either get an Esper or an item. Either a chunk of Magicite or a little glittery thing will fall on your airship. Just like Tritalk. Excuse me, if you fight Tritalk at the end of Narsh, you'll get an Esper or an item. There's never a character frozen in that ice. The Fanatic's Tower Follower is guaranteed progression, always going to be either a character or an Esper. So if you don't see a character walking back and forth, that means that's going to be an Esper, and you can see that right down here. So if you go to the checks list that we were looking at earlier, if you go to Fanatic's Tower, possible rewards, character / Esper. So you see this reward NPC character in the entrance room before you start the climb. So if it doesn't say item here, that means you cannot get an item from it. Most of them you'll see say character Esper item, but if you say only character Esper. Floating Continent is another one. The Atma Weapon spot cannot reward a character, so the Atma Weapon is only Esper item, but the other 2 spots, the thing you find at the start of the Floating Continent after you fight all the stuff at the beginning, so you land on the Floating Continent, there's either a dude or a Magicite there, that will never be an item. And at the end, where you would wait for Shadow in vanilla, in Worlds Collide, that is always a character in Esper. You will never see a cat hood or an experience egg bounding over to catch you before you leave them behind. It will always be either a character or some random NPC sprite, which will give you an Esper. That's by far the quickest way to find that. So, lost my spot here. So, Search the Skies, not guaranteed. Fanatic's Tower Follower, guaranteed. Floating Continent Escape, just talked about it, guaranteed, yes. Dome and Dream Throne, no. A few people got this one wrong. The Dome and Dream Throne is not guaranteed. So, if you go to checks again, we'll see that Dome and Dream, the only guaranteed one, sorry, Science Nightmare is how it's listed here, Science Dream, Esper item /2. So, the only guaranteed one is the second reward. It's either a person, like a character or an NPC that's running through the dream bit in the middle after you fight the Stooges, but before you leave the dream. That will never be an item, but the other 2 can be items, which is really unfortunate because it's such a great check. You hate to see dead checks in there, but so sometimes on the throne you'll see a Esper, and sometimes you just see a little glittery thing. That's an item. So Doma Dream Throne, not a guaranteed progression. Help Injured Lad is not a check. That's an objective quest. Usually it's not even part of the flag set. I made a flag set once with that in it. People didn't like it. People don't like helping the injured lad. Ancient Castle is not guaranteed progression. Look, it says right there, it can be an item. Sometimes you talk to the statue, gives you a little item, so not guaranteed. Magitech Factory Finish, yes. It's the most annoying part of the Magitech Factory to do, but when you get a little NPC run up to you at the end, it's either a character or they're coming to hand you an Esper. The Phantom Train is not guaranteed. You can see here, character, Esper, item. Sometimes there's an NPC in the caboose and they'll give you something. not an Esper. So, Fnatic's Tower Faller, Floating Continent Escape, Magitech Factory Finish. During Tier 3 of Final Kefka, Girl and Sleep, not including counterattacks. How many times can Sleep cast Meteor on his turn? This is a common misconception. You'll hear people on races, you'll hear people when they're doing their streams talk about Meteor, or talk about Sleep double Meteoring them. That sometimes you get screwed by Sleep getting you with a double Meteor. This is a myth or a misconception. I guess a myth conception. No, I didn't like that. It's easy to think this. So basically there's two ways that Sleep will do Meteor to you. And he only starts doing it when he's about 10,000 health away from dying. At that point, his script, so earlier in the fight, his script is pretty simple. He's going to do on his turn, he'll do something like Merton or Whirlwind or Hit You or Condemned. Those are the kind of things he does. Actually, Condemned might even be Girl, but usually Merton, Whirlwind, physical attacks. Once you've got him to about 10,000 HP left, plus change, he's going to start doing every single turn. On his turn, he's going to cast Meteor. So if you do nothing but just sit there, he's just going to cast Meteor, wait for his next turn, cast Meteor, wait for his next turn, cast Meteor. However, he also now in this phase has counters. He didn't before, he does now. Every time you hit him, he has a 1 in 3 chance of doing either nothing, casting Train, or casting Meteor. And so if you hit him and he casts Meteor, and then his turn comes up right after and he casts Meteor, it looks like he's done a double Meteor. But there's no double Meteor. The double Meteor is a misconception. So the answer to this is 1. There's 2 kind of simple ways to learn this. I'm lazy, so I use the less accurate way, but if you honestly, like, the way I do it is FF6 Sleep AI script. And usually that will take me somewhere in here. Oh, it didn't work. FF6 Sleep Wiki. So what I often do is I will just go to the stupid Final Fantasy Wiki and I'll look on here. If you do this, the boss from Final, so there we go. Rest. They call him Rest on here. On this wiki is at the bottom AI script, so you can go there and there's his script. This is usually accurate. Sometimes there's a couple things that might not be 100% there. It's not always fully complete, but this will usually give you a heads up on what they're going to do. Bear in mind that they use the Super Nintendo, or the GBA version's ability names. So Meltdown is Merton, Tornado is Whirlwind, Nothing is Nothing, Doom is actually Condemned, Meteor here is actually Meteor, and Repose is Calmness. The other way you can do this is you can go FF6 AI script FAQ, and there is a monster script. I mean, you can actually just save these links, but I Google them every time because I'm a rube. But there's an FAQ on GameFAQs that has everything. So I mean, if you go down here, the easiest way to do is just look for Calmness, because Calmness will take you to the right monster. That's Girl. So Sleep right here. It's a little less easy to read, but all of the monster scripts are in here. A few of them are slightly adjusted in Worlds Collide, but not in a meaningful fashion that this won't help you. I mean, most of the changes are pretty straightforward. For example, if the Magimaster Ultima flag is on, then he won't cast Ultima when he dies, so just ignore that part of his script. But yeah, so we can see here Sleep, that if Sleep is less or equal than 10,240 hit points, he will use Meteor. That's his turn. And if he's less than 10,240 and if he's been attacked, he will target that person or target you by using either Meteor or Train or Nothing. If he was going to do multiple things per turn, you would see it on here. So somebody who does do multiple things on a turn is Havoc Wing. Kefka. Final Kefka occasionally does Havoc Wing followed by Havoc Wing, and you'll see it on here somewhere. I'm trying to find it on the script, but yeah, so you'll see like once he's under 32,600, Basically, after he's in his first Goner phase, Final Kefka, he'll do Goner and then he'll do a couple rounds where he does Havoc Wing, and then potentially he'll do another Havoc Wing. So he can do like Havoc Wing or Train or nothing, followed by Havoc Wing or nothing or nothing. So that is an example of a guy using 2 abilities on 1 turn. Final Kefka does it. It's not an illusion. There's no misconception there. After the Goner phase, Final Kefka will sometimes just go Havoc Wing, and there's nothing you could have done about it. That is pure RNG. It sucks, but it happens. So the trick there is kill Kefka in the Goner phase. Long story short, only 1 Meteor per turn, not counting counterattacks. And the lesson here is don't provoke extra counterattacks when he's in Meteor phase. Do not do weak attacks. If you've got somebody who's only doing 1,000 damage per swing, don't swing. Let them sit there. Let their ATB gauge fill up. Wait for them so they can use items or something like that. All they're going to do is give him a little poke and make him potentially train or Meteor you. So don't do it. 2 Meteors at once kills a lot of people. Which of the following abilities uses magic power to calculate the attack's damage? Check all that apply. This is one of the trickier questions again. So abilities usually use either vigor, strength, or magic power. So vigor, strength kind of interchangeable there because they're 2 words for one thing. If it uses vigor or strength, then your physical defense and evade kicks in, and safe is what helps. If it's magic based, then shell helps, and magic defense is what you're looking for. Things like force armor, force shields. So, what uses magic power? Fire 3? Yes, it's a magic spell. Pretty easy. Bum Rush? Yeah, even though it's a blitz, many of the blitzes are magic power based. So, Aura Bolt, Air Blade, Fire Dance, and Bum Rush. And I guess, I don't know, Spiraler maybe too, but you don't use Spiraler. Wombat. Wombat is a dance ability. Wombat is a little critter that runs across the screen and smashes something. Sounds pretty physical. Magic power based. Landslide. Also a dance ability. Also magic power based. Tech Missile. It's a physical missile. You're shooting at something. Magic power based. Stunner, a sword tech, a Bushido technique, a samurai using his sword for something crazy, magic power based. And Fire Skiing is magic power based. So these were all magic power based. How can you learn such things? A couple easy-ish ways. One thing, you can just look them up one by one. Bum Rush, all caps, calm down. Tech type, magic. You can use magic power. The other way you can do it is, I don't have it on me, and it's not on the guide. I don't think. It is on here. FF6, I'm pointing at my screen, you can't see it. FF6 skills and parameters. This is a Google sheet that has every ability in the game. If it's physical, it's going to use battle power. If it's magical, it's going to use magic power. So right here, if we look at Wombat, physical? No. It's a magic ability. And there you go. Great spreadsheet. Look this up whenever you're not sure if something uses magic, if you're not sure how strong it is, accuracy, all that kind of stuff. Wombat misses targets with float. You wouldn't have known that if you didn't go to the spreadsheet. Great spreadsheet. Bookmark it, print it off, study it before you go to bed. Do what you gotta do. All right, next question. True or false? A Kefka's Tower skip is a one-time use reward. Slightly debated, I think, in its history of being developed, but currently the answer to this is that it is, in fact, a one-time use reward. So if you unlock a skip and then leave Kefka's Tower for whatever reason, if you try to go back in again, you do not have the skip anymore. You will be going back to the start. If there's another objective, so if there's perhaps 2 or 3 objectives that all give you a Kefka's Tower skip, you could always unlock another skip with one of those objectives. But otherwise, in something like a standard seed where you get a skip for 12 espers or 9 characters, that's your one skip. You're not going to get another one. And how you can find this out, I believe, on the, and I might be wrong about this, Go to objectives. If you go to results, yeah. Unlock KT skip. This skip may be used once per completion of the objective. If there are still unfinished objectives for this result, the player may complete those to earn another skip. So essentially, it's a one and done. You cash it in, you use your skip, that's it. Pretty straightforward, but yeah, that was true. Next, and this is the question I think most people got wrong, and when I took my test and was making sure it worked, I got it wrong. We'll see if I remember it now. Which of the following rages use the ability Shrapnel? So, we've talked about this a lot on the Worlds Collide Discord. Knowing your rages is, Green Monkey, I nailed this one. Yeah. Well, you know what? You're good like a freak at this game, so I would hope you nailed this one, but I got it wrong. So, we've talked about it a lot on the Discord. Knowing your rages is a really good skill to know. If you have a rage user, you have access to a lot of pretty good resources. Now, mind you, 70 to 80% of the rages are garbage, but that top 20% is some good stuff in there. I don't expect people to remember them all. I made flashcards, so if you search around on the Discord, you can probably find a link to my rage flashcards if you want to study them. Some people have. I know most of our GDQ contingent spent some time learning their rages, so talk to Drulith, talk to Seto, talk to the smart people around, and they will help you with their rage knowledge. There's a few that are really good to remember. Remember the really strong non-elemental ones. It's always a safe one because they're at least going to be usable. So the two I always remember, they're burned into my mind, Prussian and Luridan, because they both use Landslide, which is basically Flare. Great attack, does clean non-elemental damage, always useful. Shrapnel is also always useful because Shrapnel is basically a tier 3 spell like Bolt 3 or Fire 3 or Ice 3, except it's non-elemental. It's the ability that you'll see, usually in the game, you see it being used by Air Force, usually right after he launches you. Usually he's wiping you. It sucks and we hate it, but I think Poltergeist uses it too. So that's Shrapnel. It's like scratch and then you die. Non-elemental, magic-based attack, really strong. Who uses it? So we have 5 options here. 3 of these. Why is non-elemental so good? So I wouldn't even say it's so good. In fact, in many cases, non-elemental is probably not that good. I like non-elemental because I'm not always good at remembering boss weaknesses. So of course, some bosses, some monsters absorb some elements or are resistant to some elements. So you don't want to be that guy who, I mean, yeah, tee up all the questions you want. I know you know the answer, Green Monkey. Dullahan's a great example, right? You don't want to be the guy who sees that fiery dude, says, man, I'm going to shoot ice at him. Turns out you healed him, right? So if you're not 100% sure about elemental weaknesses, the safest play is use a non-elemental attack. Flare is another example where if you don't know that they're going to take damage from bolt or fire or ice, if you just are not sure, you can always use Flare because it's never going to get absorbed. It's also good if you just have no options to exploit a weakness. So if you're fighting against Flame Eater and you don't have any ice attacks, but you do have a non-elemental attack, use a non-elemental attack. Also really, really useful in tier 3 and a couple other bosses, but Girl in tier 3 is immune to every single element. You need non-elemental damage to do damage to her. Usually the easiest way to do that is something like an Atma weapon or, again, casting Flare, but if you got a Shrapnel Rage, you can sort of do it. I don't know that I would really recommend, going into Rage on tier 3 because, we talked about double Meteo a few questions ago, but it's a good way to get double Meteoed, but yeah, that's a Shrapnel situation. So who uses Shrapnel? It's monsters that look like Praying Mantises, but not all of them. So 3 of these are Praying Mantis looking things. Gilo Mantis, Mantodea, and Toe Cutters are all Mantis looking things. Dueler is, I believe, I think it's one of those Magitech armor looking things, and Pluto armor is certainly a Magitech armor thing. Those are not rages that use Shrapnel. I think they're probably both Megavolt or something like that. It's pretty much not relevant. Neither of them are very good. In combat against you, they use shrapnel, but their rages do not use shrapnel. The only two that do are Gilomantis and Toe Cutter. Yes. Mantodia is something else. Maybe Wind Slash, maybe, I don't know. We'll check in a second, but those are your two shrapnel rages, Gilomantis and Toe Cutter. How do you find this out? The best way I always go is this the rage rankings spreadsheet right here. Wind Slash is right. Yeah, nailed it. I only remember that because I controlled one of them the other day and it wiped me with Wind Slash. Or Gale Cut, I forget. Damn it, Green Monkey. I was so excited to get it right. The rage ranking sheet, this is a great spreadsheet. Highly recommend. Again, just like when I was new and I was using this little boss image for every boss fight, I have this thing open. I hate to admit it, but this rage rankings spreadsheet, I have open all the damn time. If you ever see a bunch of anonymous animals, at least one of these is probably me. In fact, I usually, on one of my other browser windows, I've usually been like 2 or 3 of these people with this open because I have a million tabs open, and at any given time, 1 to 2% of my tabs is probably this sheet. That said, if we scroll down here, Shrapnel is a B tier rage and it's taught by Gilomantis and Toe Cutter. We can look up the other ones. Dueler might not even have a rage. Dueler is Megavolt. Don't use Megavolt. It's real bad. It's the same as Bolt. Don't do it. Mantodia is Wind Slash. Good job, Green Monkey. You know your stuff. And Pluto Armor is Tech Laser, and Proto Armor does not have a rage. I think there's a couple other bosses or monsters that do it too, like Prometheus, I think. But again, there's no Prometheus rage. So this rage list, keep this thing open. Remember these top rages, especially like these guys right here. I would even go so far as to like, if you can ever remember all the B rages and up, you're in great shape. Honestly, these are all really useful rages. I am usually excited and willing to keep a rage user if they have at least like 1 or 2 of these. In fact, a couple of these I would call higher than B. Like both Harpy Eye and Sprinter, I'm big on Arrow. Arrow is really good. Arrow is better than tier 3 magic slightly. So yeah, I mean, same with Gigavolt. Gigavolt is Bolt 3. It's good. Go for it. I'm sitting here like, I think it's better than Bolt 3. The description literally says more powerful than Bolt 3. Don't mind me. I knew I was aping that from somewhere. But yeah, these ones, like, remember and kind of try to keep all of these in mind. Some of these are famous, like Retainer. Everybody who was ever 12 years old playing Final Fantasy knows that Retainer makes you General Leo. It gives you shock, which is awesome. So Retainer's good. Stray Cat, famous rage. Stray Cat is amazing. Doom Dragon we'll talk about in another question. Nightshade, fair warning, almost every standard flag set does not give you the charm rage for Nightshade. So if you use Nightshade right now, you'll get, I forget what it does, like Poison Pod or something stupid. It's a really crappy attack. Don't use the Nightshade rage. If that flag is off, it's like a charm rage flag. If that's off and charm is on the board, use charm. It's crazy. IO is good against monsters that are high level. And then yeah, all these ones, like basically you can give yourself access to most of the tier 3 magic. I mean, here's Ice 3 from Wooly. We talked about Wooly earlier. Wooly's a great rage. Gold Bear, if you've got a great item, great rage. I never use Barbie, but I suppose somebody out there does. And then Bolt 3 and the Fire 3 ones. I mean, yeah, can't really go wrong with some of these. I use Senior Behemoth, even though it says he's undead. Brontor, I always forgot. I just did a seed that had Brontor and I didn't use it. Now I feel stupid. Plaster I never use, but yeah, Stone I never really use either. In fact, I would not call these B tier, but hey, who am I to argue? Whirlwind, really useful, but again, not something you want in Rage. Meteo is hilarious. It's fun to be like Sleep. Also, I swear this is wrong. I swear Tyrannosaur is actually Meteor, not Meteo. But anyway, I digress. This is the list of rages. Keep this thing open, use it, and the higher up, if you get a rage user, take a quick glance at the top of this list. If you don't see their name, it's probably not a good rage, and don't worry too much about it. That's my highly scientific approach to rages. So hopefully we answered your shrapnel questions. We have another rage question right away, and now you know where the answer is. Using the rage command, which of the following rages can apply the freeze status? Doom Dragon, Woolly, Vomammoth, Steroidite, Nightshade, Mastodon, Prometheus. You saw on that last list, it was the very, very top one of the spreadsheet, so it's very easy to find. It's only Doom Dragon. Only thing in the game that gives you a rage that freezes. Some of these other things look like they would. Woolly cast Ice 3, which it's pretty cold, but not cold enough to freeze people. Vomammoth, Mastodon, Steroidite, I believe they all can. I think Vomammoth and Mastodon cast Blizzard, which does not freeze. Steroidite and Prometheus, those creatures can freeze you in the game, but their rages don't. In fact, there is no Prometheus rage. And Nightshade, well, we just talked about Nightshade. Nightshade is nerfed. So yeah, Doom Dragon, second to Stray Cat. Doom Dragon Rage doesn't do any damage other than the turns you attack, but you can freeze basically everything. So as the spreadsheet says, go nuts. If you don't have good offense or good defense and you really just want to like get through bosses without them murdering you, or if you want to like cheese some bosses that you're really not prepared to fight, Doom Dragon, freeze them. Remember all the times that they trolled you by saying you best be frozen? Now they'd best be frozen. Which status conditions does the attack Train inflict upon targets? So Train, most commonly you see it in tier 3 and tier 4 of Final Kefka. There might be other monsters out there that use it with enemy scaling. I'm not 100% sure, but commonly that's where you see it. What status conditions does it inflict upon you? Everybody who gets hit by it will be inflicted by two things. You will get hit by Dark and you'll get hit by Mute. So it blinds you and it makes you unable to cast magic. So it's something you need to worry about if you have somebody who is primarily a magic caster or a lore user or something that gets muted. Health, you can't use health when you're muted. Or if you're a physical attacker and you're not immune, like ignoring, like if you're not using something that always hits, like Illumina or Offering, then Dark is a problem and you don't want to be missing. So actually Illumina maybe does miss, but either way, how would you find the answer to this? I'd probably go back right to the Gamer Corner page. You can just look it up here. Train, it'll probably show you Grand Train, but let's look at Train. Always hits, Dark and Mute, used by Kefka and Sleep in the base game. You get hit by Train, anybody who needs to be unmuted, hit him with an Echo Screen or Remedy. If they're Dark, if they need to be healed, hit him with an Eye Drop or Remedy. It does not miss. Okay, yeah, like I said, Illumina doesn't miss. I'm frustrating everybody in my chat now. I'm sorry, everybody. I failed you all. That was not one of the questions, so good thing I didn't fail. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe I'm just thinking Ragnarok, but yeah, Illumina is a great weapon. Everybody should use it. That's a hot take. Write that down. Yeah. I don't know. Do you guys, does anybody know if Illuminous miss or not? Anyway, that's a homework question for everybody. Okay. But yeah, that's how I would find that out. I think actually that skills and parameters, that guide might also have that. I'm not sure. Skills and parameters, wherever it is, right there. Is Train in here? It's probably not, actually. I think this is only for trains. I'm looking for trains. Train, right there. Yeah, Dark Mute. So, skills and parameters, like I said, great guide. Great guides here. Okay, next question. True or false? If you do enough damage quickly against Kefka, you can skip the Fallen One attack. I don't know if anybody's actually got this question wrong, but the answer is true. People do this in races all the darn time. In fact, you could potentially kill him before he does Fallen One if you have a low hit points person with an Offering and a Genji Glove and a VK. You can do, what is that? 80,000 minus 8, so 79,992 damage in one go. That's enough to kill a Kefka, I think. It's 100% enough to kill a Kefka. It's enough to kill a Kefka and have about 15,000 hit points left over. So yes, you can, and you can learn this again by going back to either that this one right here. you could go and you can look at their Fallen One script. So this is Kefka right here. You can see that he does Fallen One. Basically, that's only in his starting script, which is at the top. So he casts the lore Fallen One. So when he's in his first phase of the fight, he does Fallen One, and then he does a bunch of turns of either battle, nothing, havoc wing, train. He just spams a bunch of stuff. You can see the options here. He'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds of him doing fire 3, ice 3, bolt 3, train, a lot of havoc wings, and he might take a couple turns off, and then he loops right around to Fallen One. So if you see him do Fallen One multiple times, that means you've spent a lot of time in phase 1 and you might not have enough damage to do this. We've seen it happen once or twice. It's not a good sign if you're seeing multiple Fallen Ones. But if you immediately do enough damage to get him less than 32,000 hit points, he gets out of that script. And if you can do that before he does the first line in his script, which is not too hard to do, usually if you have good damage, then yeah, he'll immediately be in the next phase of the fight. So you usually have enough time for everybody in your party to get one attack, especially if you do a little bit of ATB waiting in there. So if you have anybody who's breaking the quad 9 barrier, then you probably have a decent chance of getting through this part of the script and not getting Fallen One. And if you do get Fallen One, not a big deal, honestly. Pop your Mega Elixir, heal yourself up a little bit if you have to. Don't sweat it. We all get Fallen One. Kefka does Ice Bolt, Kefka does Firebolt, Kefka does Launcher. He does it all. Is there anything this man can't do? Can't not break a world. When the Bum Rush last flag is set to true, what level does a Blitz user need to be able to watch the Duncan training cutscene and learn Bum Rush? It doesn't even seem like a reward when you say it like that. The Duncan cutscene is incredibly long. Good minute and 15 or minute 30 or something of watching Duncan and some random part of your team dance around on a roof, and then at the end everybody flexes. Pretty cool, but that's time you could have spent killing the Opera House Dragon. What level can you do that at? The answer is 42. If you've read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and guessed this answer because of that, then good job. If you are a Star Trek fan, you probably would have put 47, and I appreciate that, but it's wrong in this situation. But yeah, 42. Bum Rush last flag is usually on. Most flag sets have that on. Otherwise, you can just get on the airship, take your Blitz user over to Duncan and learn it right at the beginning. If that is the case, Bum Rush is a lot more valuable. Being able to use it throughout the entire seed is pretty great. You'll probably find a lot of the time that by the time you can unlock Bum Rush, you probably have other things you could be doing with your time. So you really have to make a kind of weighed decision there of whether you're going to save more time bum rushing than you're going to spend in the cutscene. And if you're doing this near the end of the run, which at level 42 you probably are in a normal seed, you don't have a lot of time left in the seed to make up that 1.5 minute cutscenes time. So consider that. Now, if it is going to give you a quad 9 ability, that's certainly very handy for something like, again, sleep, which we talked about a while ago. Sleep is in that medio phase for about 10,000 hit points, and so if you have something like Bum Rush that can do 10,000 in one go, that's kind of a quick way to get through that phase without provoking a whole bunch of extra medios. So again, digressing a little bit, but think carefully before deciding to do the Bum Rush. The earlier you can do it, the more worthwhile it probably is to do it. And if it's the last thing you're doing before Kefka, again, really consider, am I going to get the time investment back from these minutes I'm spending flying there, watching Duncan, watching us all pose, feeling really good about myself, and then flying back? Next question. True or false, the control command uses the caster's stats? Sadly, the answer to this is false. The control command uses the monster's stats, and monsters have awful stats in this game. Truly terrible stats. Let's hop back over to here and let's see if we can find Kefka. We have to find the right Kefka. There's a few of them. That's not the one we're looking for. That's not the one we're looking for. Maybe I can't find him. The final battle? I mean, is this going to be it? Show me Kefka. Okay, well, there's a Kefka. Kefka's magic is 8. 8. Now, for comparison's sake, Cyan's magic, base magic, is, I believe, 25. Cyan doesn't even know what end of a magic wand to hold. Cyan doesn't even know how to spell Merton. He spells it D-O-M-A. That's how he spells Merton, if you ask him. So he is much more of a wizard than Final Kefka is. So when you sketch or control, but if you were to sketch Kefka, which also uses caster stats, it's going to use his magic power. And when you cast Ultima, you're going to feel really, really good. And then you see the damage. It's going to be like 1300 damage. And you'll be like, what? I sketched for this? This is my Ultima? I hate this game. You're going to uninstall it. You're going to get rid of your emulator and you're going to go play Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise. And that's not something we want to see. We want to see you play this game. So long story short, control uses the caster's stats is false. You use the monster stat, and therefore control is kind of niche. Despite all his rage, he's still just a rat in a cage. The Smashing Pumpkins. You know, I saw them once after like they had reformed, and it was just not that good. So control, basically, you might sometimes use it in earlier fixed encounters when your party is a little scared and you want to take one guy out of the fight. There are some creatures that have really good control options. So if you ever fight the 2 Wart Puck encounter, I believe is a really good one, where you can control one, exploder him into the other one, and it kills them both. That's a cute trick you can do. In general, though, control is not terribly useful. It's also occasionally glitchy. If you control, I think I talked about it a bit earlier, if you control a Manto Dea and cast Wind Slash, you Wind Slash yourself, and you wipe yourself, and then you make a clip of it from your VOD, and then you put that on Discord, and you kind of grumble about it a bit. I don't know anybody who's done that. It was me. It was me like a few days ago. Next question. Which of the 2 crane boss monsters absorb fire damage? So there's 2 cranes. I feel like we all make the Fraser and Niles joke, but it's a good one, so we're going to do it again. It's Fraser, it's Niles, they're listening. So there's 2 cranes. Usually, unless you're fighting them in a weird spot like on the Magitech Escape, there's one on the left, there's one on the right. Green Monkey got this one wrong. See, even the greats sometimes get questions wrong. 2 of them, one absorbs fire, one absorbs lightning. Right one absorbs fire. So I think I even put a little, right is lightning, left is, right eats lightning. You want to do lightning to the one on the right. True. See, Drew is confusing things now. So I even put a little, I think I put a little helper thing in here. Yeah. So the left crane absorbs lightning and the right crane absorbs fire. So you can come up with a mnemonic to remember that. So I always think like left loves lightning. So don't shoot lightning at the one on the left. And then don't shoot fire at the one on the right. I don't know. I just remember the left one, then you don't have to remember the right one. But the real answer is they're both weak to wind. So just use arrow and you're good to go. They're an easy boss. I mean, they're weak to damage. So just shock or hit them with a tech missile. Everything dies to a tech missile. But yeah, that's the cranes. I was going to put a question here about the tentacles, and I couldn't think of a way to make the tentacle question not a pain in the butt without a diagram. Yeah, brute force method, throw people at them. That's the Yeti way. But yeah, these are the kind of boss weaknesses. And again, how do you find this? The way I would suggest is you go to the boss exploits cheat sheet and you look at cranes. Crane on the left absorbs lightning. Crane on the right absorbs fire. They're both vulnerable to slow. Don't bother slowing them. Fraser fears fire. That's a tongue twister, not a mnemonic. So this spreadsheet, good one for stuff like this. Again, come down here, learn about the tentacles. You really want to learn some of these. This is one of the greatest ways to speed up your boss fights. Slow encounters and slow boss fights will eat up your timer. This is, I think, where I lose a lot of my time and my seeds, is I don't exploit elemental weaknesses enough. And this is the difference between somebody like me and people like Green Monkey or Drew or Hefe, right? These people, they know their boss weaknesses. They don't have to think about it or open up a spreadsheet. They will just hit guys with the right stuff and they'll die fast. So Learn to do that and you will go well in this world. So again, I made flashcards for this. I don't have an address for them on me right now, but if you do a search on the Discord for flashcard, you'll probably see my post from the beginner's house from a month or two ago. So go check out those flashcards, go study them if you want to get better at this. I know it's nerdy, I know it's painful, but learning boss weaknesses will take you very far in this life. It actually won't take you far in this life, but it will take you far in Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide. And I am of the opinion that Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide is life. So it'll take you far in life. Green Monkey is at a campfire in Vermont for a few days. That is awesome, and I also hope you enjoy. I've not gone camping in some time now. Good opinion. Wait, I didn't say an opinion, did I? Oh, about the life thing. Yeah, okay, good. I was like, wait, was it an opinion that you're supposed to use boss weaknesses? That's just a good take. Because you got to bum rush life. That's right. Got to bum rush it in its heart of gold. Where's my quiz? I'm losing track. All right. Which of the following bosses are vulnerable to stab? So I've got 5 listed here. I tried to crack a fire rod on my boss. It didn't go well. Yeah, that's a good way to get dismissed, terminated. If only there was like a thematic word for getting removed from a job relevant to using a fire rod. I will think about it later. So, which of the following bosses are vulnerable to stop? It's Doom, Goddess, Atma, and Guardian. Oh, Drew. Drew, you need to practice this game. You should run a couple practice seeds. Maybe try to get a PB. Drew, what's your PB right now? 230 or something? You can do better than that. The answer is, of course, none of the people Drew just said. It is, in fact, Polty. Spicy Chicken, the Poltergeist, is vulnerable to stop. Goddess, Doom, Guardian, and Atma are not. Kefka is vulnerable, right? Kefka is not vulnerable. PB is sub 4 hours. I mean, hey, my PB is sub 4 hours too, Drew. We're the same. I'm on your level, Mega Elixir, here I come. Oh my god, not even close. Kirgsy's gonna boot me out of Elixir, let alone Mega Elixir. Yeah, only Poltergeist is vulnerable to stop. The other ones laugh in the face of your stop. Now, don't forget that there are other bosses that are vulnerable to stop. Hit in Final Kefka is vulnerable to stop. It's not the biggest deal in the world to stop him because he's just kind of spamming some moderately annoying physical attacks, but that is somebody you can stop. One of the dragons is vulnerable to stop. Now, instead of me memorizing this, we can just go to the old boss exploit sheet again, and you can see that column B, status vulnerabilities. So who's vulnerable to stop? Tools, hit. Tools, really? The white dragon is vulnerable to stop. So stop the white dragon. This is another one. Remember which dragons are vulnerable to which status conditions. This is a very, very useful one to know. So stop on white dragon is a classic. Muddle on ice dragon is a good one. Muddle on red dragon is a good one. Ice dragon, you can just kill. Honestly, ice dragon's easy. Can't wait for the big Ultra League reveal that only first place in Mega Elixir survives. Yeah. No, they go to the secret division, Ultra Elixir, which I haven't told anybody about yet. First rule about Ultra Elixir is you don't talk about Ultra Elixir. Kirgsy's either finishing first, last, no between. Yeah, well, I got my last. I haven't got a first finish. And I thought I might get away with one this week, which would have been shameful given my time. So I'm new to this rando. Do I ask the boss to wait while I look these up? You can, actually. I mean, that's where ATB waiting comes in. And there's some really good videos out there on ATB waiting. Drew, I think maybe Drew did one. I know Zelfra has one. It's really good. Zelfra is a wonderful person, has some good videos. I don't think Drew did, actually. But Drew probably goes over it in one of his breakdowns where he's gone through other people's seeds. Those are must watch as well if you're learning and trying to get better at the game. Drew has some wonderful videos. If you could mute for a second, I'll say nice things about him. I just don't want him to hear it. But Drew is excellent at this game and a great guy and knows his stuff and really good at walking through his process. One of the very giving members of our community. So definitely check out Drew's YouTube channel and check out some of his videos where he's gone through people's seeds. He hasn't done one in a while, and I really wish he would, hint, hint, but really, really useful content there. So if you're looking to get better, learn from the greats. Piggyback on the backs of people like Drew or Zelfra or people who've done these great guy videos. This quiz didn't have enough slot questions. Drew's words coming out of Keith's mouth. I thought about doing slot stuff, and then I thought, What was I going to ask? I mean, am I going to ask stuff about doing reverse Joker Doom? I don't even know how to do reverse Joker Doom. I'm not going to ask questions about that. We had a nice debate about that exact topic the other day. Yeah. Started the WC run yesterday because of the SGDQ run he won, so I watched the other morning. Yeah, right. Drew is really good, a great ambassador for our game. He plays other games too, but we all know that his heart is still in Final Fantasy VI, and he will never leave us, no matter how many arias of sorrow or whatever he's doing. If you're not following him already, go follow him now. There is very few, if anybody, better to learn the game from, and he's a hell of a guy. And he's got a good tracker too. You can use Illumina. Illumina's a good tracker. Yeah, FF6 is my favorite game of all time. I was like, a new loot fest version of FF6? Yes. Are you kidding? Like, I played this so many times as a kid, and there's really no challenge in it. So to come and find that there's a version of this game that not only can I play and it's different every time, but I can play it in one quick sitting. This is a dream come true. I love Worlds Collide. I love what it has done for my passion for Final Fantasy III. It's great. That's why I make a bunch of nerdy stuff for it. Like quizzes on the things in Worlds Collide. So, which of the following bosses are vulnerable to stop? As we said, is Poltergeist. And a bunch of others, but of this list, it's only Poltergeist. I love randomizers. This one makes me want to speedrun it. Do it. Speedrun it for sure. Like I said, I know you just said you did your first one, but you will find very quickly that you'll start getting a hang of it. And then once you get into it, you've got a couple of good options right now. Moogle's first tournament is coming up in a couple of weeks, and that's where you've probably seen it on the Discord. We'll have a competition where you get to do races with one of our more experienced racers there to walk you through and give you some tips and tricks. So, if you're lucky, you get paired up with somebody like Drewlith or Hefe or Keith or Green Monkey. If you're not lucky, you get me, and you have to deal with this annoying voice and my smarmy attitude and smart ass comments for a few weeks. But no, it's gonna be a great tournament. And also you can join Ultras League. I don't know if you've heard of Ultras League. I've never plugged it before, but Ultras League is the league where everybody is Octopus royalty. So you can join this, and as you see, there's 4 tiers. So when you join up, you join in the tonic tier, and that's mostly people who are new to the game or still learning to race, and so you're in competition with people who are at the similar skill level. So every 20 seconds I hear stop looting everything. Yeah. If you ever watch Ficta, who's another great member of the community and a great racer, he will start yelling at himself to stop looting around the 45-minute mark or so as well. So you'll be in good company. But yeah, you can see here that like people in the tonic division, people are coming in, they're taking 2.5, 3, 4 hours to get through some of these seeds. So hop in there, get in there, have a good time. The great thing about tonic is that they're also awesome people. I've had the pleasure of hopping in their chats recently, and I keep bringing new people into their divisions, and they're awesome people. The whole league is awesome people, but yeah, the tonic, they're really great groups. And even if you lose your division, you're going to make some good friends. You're going to make some connections in the community. It's a super welcoming community. Everybody likes each other. We're all great people. Everything is awesome. That's my hard pitch. So join the Ultras League. Next question. Is Pario from the OG days? Oh, Pero. Yeah, he is. I think he's old player who came back. Okay, second last question. Which characters are able to equip Minerva under vanilla equipment restrictions? This one got some people. So Minerva technically is the Minerva Bustier or Bustier. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it, but it's basically a corset. So who can equip that? This is 1994. So, I mean, at the time, we weren't very open-minded about who could wear things. Only adult women could wear corsets at the time. So back then, Terra and Celeste. Edgar and Locke couldn't, because it's supposed to be an item for the ladies in the game. Realm is not a grown-up, and Gogo is who knows. So only Terra and Celeste in vanilla FF6 can equip the Minerva. Now, of course, this is Worlds Collide, so sometimes Shadow can wear it, sometimes Realm can wear it, sometimes Gogo can wear it, sometimes Umaro can run around wearing the Minerva. And don't forget, if you ever want to put the Merit Award on, you can always wear anything you want. So yeah, they said Gogo could be either. I know, that's why I put them in this question, because I thought if I put them in the question, it would be a little confusing. So I do think a couple of people did say Gogo, but in vanilla, only Terra and only Celeste can equip the Minerva. Merit Award actually doesn't allow Minerva to be worn? Really? Get out of here. Is that for real? You're right, it doesn't. Oh my god. Okay, so yeah, just Terra and Celeste. And see, if it was Merit Award, this would be white here. So this is why we defer to Drew for our things. Interesting. So Sarina gown, same thing. That's really interesting. I mean, I never use Merit Award, so it goes to show you why. Because like, I don't even know where you get the Merit Award in vanilla, and in this, I don't know that I've ever been in a situation where I need to equip something and I also don't have more important things to put in my relic slots. So that doesn't necessarily mean I'm good, but yeah, it was only the Coliseum, wasn't it? Yeah, that's what I thought. There was that. There was another thing that I thought was only Marvel shoes. I think Marvel shoes were only the Coliseum as well, because I don't remember getting Marvel shoes naturally. I think they were like something in the Coliseum, like better relic ring or something stupid. So, oh, and the XP egg chain. Yeah, that makes sense. So this is all to say that equipment does change in Worlds Collide. Things are randomized. Usually it's like natural plus 33% or something like that. But if you want to have characters, basically, if you want to hedge and you're not sure, like if you get a new character in your party and you're not sure whether to add them or not, it's not a bad idea to consider who had better vanilla equipability and plan accordingly. So Terra and Celeste will always be able to use the Minerva unless it's like a weird flag set that completely randomizes their eligibility. As long as it's original plus or original as is, they'll always be able to use a Minerva. And that makes them just a little bit nicer to have in the party just in case you find that Minerva. You know, the same goes for basically Terra, Celeste, Edgar, Locke, because they can use Ragnarok and Illumina, so they're always nice to have, or Atmas. Locke is a good guy to keep an eye on just because if you have him in your party, he can use a bunch of the good stuff, including the VK. It's also a reason why you might be a little more hesitant when you get somebody like Cyan or Sabin who don't have great equipability. You know, they've got a couple of good things unique to them. Sabin can equip a red jacket, but Cyan sucks. He has bad equipability. So again, something to keep in mind. Finally, last question, true or false? Illumina and Ragnarok do the same damage from the back row. This is not true. One of them does and one of them doesn't. The answer is false. So Ragnarok does not. Illumina does. So if you wear an Illumina, put that person in the back row. Illumina has basically every good trait you could imagine in the game. It crits. Not only does it crit, it casts Pearl, and it gets the benefit of that crit on the Pearl cast. So you're critting with your Pearl spell, which is weird. It never misses, I think. I mean, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but it never misses. And and it's long range, so you can use it from the back row. It's going to ignore row. You can hit guys in the back row. It doesn't matter. Ragnarok, not so. Ragnarok auto crits, but the crit doesn't count towards flare, and Ragnarok does not ignore row. So you want to put your Ragnarok user in the front row, which is kind of scary because they're possibly wearing a Genji glove or a gauntlet too. So they're going to be in a little bit of a scary position, but that's okay. So this was false. It's true if it was just Illumina, but Ragnarok does not do the same damage from the front row. And that is the Worlds Collide Final Fantasy VI quiz. You can see that we've had a bit of a spread for answers, and we've had a few that people have struggled with. So knowing which ones are in the high item tier, that's been a question. Does it miss if you throw while blind? Yeah, nope, doesn't. Throw is 100% accurate. And I mean, that applies in real life too. So if you ever want to like practice it with one of your buddies, like you can always blindfold yourself and throw knives and hit apples off their head. You'll never miss. So it's one of those situations where Final Fantasy really imitates life perfectly. Lumina won't crit in a Genji Glove situation if the first one procs. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's why you want to put it in the second hand, I think, right? But yeah, the ones that were wrong here, high tier items, a lot of people struggle with that one. The Atma thing, I think there's a lot of people who were not sure which ones Atma could get away with. Guaranteed progression caught a bunch of people. I think there was some confusion. I think a lot of people thought Dome of Throne was guaranteed progression, but I swear that thing's dead for me half the time. That's not true, actually. I have pretty good luck with Dome of Throne. Wasn't sure about Earth. Yeah. Earth and Water. We'll take a quick look, but in which is Falling Rages use the ability Shrapnel. The Shrapnel one caught a lot of people. I do think the Shrapnel one was the trickiest one. So yeah, you can see there's a couple people who thought Kohlingen Cafe, one person thought Kohlingen Cafe would be a shadow check, which completely understand because again, you can hire him there in vanilla. Sealed Cave Ninja, well, I mean, it's a ninja, so I guess I see the connection there. Some people thought there was Peekable Burning House or Peekable Search the Skies. We had a few people who thought there was a monster in a box with a sealed gate. There's a lot of boxes there, so if you're just playing the numbers, that's a fair guess, but nope. This one, again, the high item rewards, I think this has changed over the versions. So I think from what I was hearing on Discord, Red Jacket at one point was one of these rewards. It is not these days. And then Greatest, Curse Shield, Real Crowns, Tintin Bars, never. Zone Seek and Hide. Bless you, whoever thought the hide command would get you out of calmness, but Edward is not in this game. You can't hide in this one, unfortunately. But who knows? I mean, we've got a lot of good developers working on the source code, so challenge accepted. Maybe we will get hide. I never used it in Final Fantasy IV. Maybe I'll use it in Final Fantasy VI. If you hide behind this chair, I mean, I don't know. I think it should work. And then, yeah, the Toilet Ammo one, we got a bunch of people got mixed up on this one. Answers were all over the place. Some folks thought he absorbed the main ones. Poison and Water got missed a lot. Everybody knows he absorbs Pearl, though. Interesting. Again, misconception. Lots of people think Snow Muffler, or at least some people think Snow Muffler makes you immune to Merton. Snow Muffler is not good Merton protection. Don't use it. Luckily, nobody thought the Air Shield or the Fire Ring got the job done. Again, Fire Ring is a really, really good item. It's just a Final Fantasy VII item, so it won't help you here. But if you somehow find a way in Worlds Collide to go fight Genova on the boat, then congratulations on your brand new Fire Ring. You've earned it. And Blizzard Orb. Blizzard Orb is great. Again, not a lot of people seem to know it. Well, I guess 5 people didn't know it, but Blizzard Orb not only gives you Merton immunity, but it also gives you a decent amount of magic power. It's not as good as a pair of earrings, but if you need Merton protection and you need to get it on your relic slot, Blizzard Orb is good stuff. Again, Dome of Dream Throne, Ancient Castle, Phantom Train, not guaranteed progression. Fanatics Tower Follower, it definitely is. Yeah, absorbs ice too. Blizzard Orb absorbs ice and immune to fire. Good relic. In fact, if you just have a spare relic slot and somebody can equip it and you don't have anything better to put on, being immune or absorbing a couple of random elements, never a bad thing. We saw in the scripts earlier, right? Kefka spams a bunch of tier 3 magic if you let him get that far. If you don't mute or ID everybody in tier 2, there's going to be a bunch of bolt 3s and fire 3s flying around. Merton protection is nice on tier 3 because Sleep does cast Merton. It's not always the scariest Merton, but he does it. If you run into Toilet Atma, he's going to hit you with Merton once in a while. So yeah. Again, this is a pet peeve of mine. The sort of myth of the double Meteo. False. Not this time. We made it up. A lot of people thought Wombat didn't use magic power. Again, don't know why you wouldn't think that a little rodent running across the screen and trucking somebody wouldn't use magic power. Seems intuitive to me. This is a test of Final Fantasy VI logic, which is not like real life logic. The skip thing most people got. The shrapnel thing was all over the place. This is just a testament to how we all need to study our rage flashcards. The freeze thing, it's only Doom Dragon. It was only ever Doom Dragon. Everybody knows train. People nailed the train question. Not a single person has gotten the train question wrong. One person didn't know about the skipping fallen one. We had a bunch of different answers for Bum Rush Last. I think some of the confusion might have been Sword Tech 7. I think Sword Tech 7 might be 47. One person says 69. Nice. What? Oh, 44 is Sword Tech 7. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, it was 47. Oh, I'm thinking, and Sword Tech 8 is something high, right? Sword Tech 8 is like 62 or something. Sword Tech 8 is really high. Yeah, 8's like high. The control command uses caster stats. I mean, it's good to know, but again, this is not critical information. I think it's safe to say for Worlds Collide racing purposes, just don't use control. That will probably not lose you any races. If you just go through your Worlds Collide career ignoring the control command, yes, you're maybe missing out on some value one every 30 races, but I'm pretty sure that you will go through life just fine never using control, so just don't use it. Fire, we talked about it. Use your charts, make your mnemonics, learn about your boss weaknesses. Atma cannot be stopped. Feeble creatures, go. It's not feeble creatures stop, it's feeble creatures go. Minerva, 11 people thought that Realm is old enough to wear Minerva. No, she's not old. She's not wearing that Minerva, not while she lives under my roof. Hell no. She's not going to go out there dressed like some common harlot. And 2 people did not know about the Ragnarok thing. So, that is the Worlds Collide quiz. Maybe one day I'll make another one, but it's kind of hard to dig deep and find good questions that are fair and not cheaty questions. Anyway, that took longer than I expected to, if I'm being honest. So I was going to run a seed. I don't think I'm going to anymore. But control's best use is a CC. Yeah, Green Monkey, completely agree. I've used it, especially if I've been like, the one time I remember using it, twice in recent memory I've used it. I've used it once. I was like halfway through a Serpent's Trench and I was low level, and controls, but the only way I could live was by taking out one of the monsters that would kill me, so I controlled it. And I used it in an opera house a while ago because my opera house rats were all Wartbuck. I was really low level, so I was exploding one Wartbuck into the other, and I felt like a genius. The only other recent time I used control was in a seed last week or the week before when I used it on Mantodia, and I wind slashed and I killed myself. And after that, I was like, you know what? Control sucks. I hate control. It's dumb. Sell your fake mustaches. Throw them into the sun. Merton them all. That's all I got. So that's the quiz. Again, if you haven't taken it yet, well, you shouldn't now because I've given you all the answers, but there's the link if you want to take it again, I guess. I don't know. It's the wrong time to plug it. The most important thing is check out the Discord, check out Worlds Collide. Obviously, you've kind of got a sense of it. There's a lot of passionate people in this community. We all have a lot of fun. We have our fun, but no, it's a great community, great group. I'll take another note of the answers. Perfect question. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for some cheating. It's wonderful. But yeah, great group. Like I said, watch some of these streamers. The best way you can learn, rather than just studying flashcards and stuff, you should do that too, but watch some of these streamers. There's some great ones in this very chat. Green Monkey streams often enough. Drulith streams all the time. Hey, thanks for the follow. Quester. Hefe streams a lot, but he doesn't always use his mic. He's bashful sometimes, but you can't go wrong. And I mean, other great members of the community, basically, if you're on that Discord, if you go to the Live Now channel, there's usually some people running, and A lot of them really, really are good. They know their stuff, and a lot of folks really talk their way through. Again, I hate to keep plugging Drewless because he is such a terrible human being, but he's a great racer, so he's a terrific human being too. That's the worst part. No, Drewless is great, and he's really good at walking through and sort of talking through his process while he does it. So, if you sub to him, you get to put some whales in chat. So, I mean, whales in chat is a lot better than trains in chat. Trains in chat is lame. Imagine putting trains in chat. Anyway, I'm just babbling now, so yeah, that's all I got. I'm gonna shut it down. I don't think I'll be running another seed tonight, but if I do, I'll start it in a separate stream. But otherwise, you can't sub to Drew anymore. Did you de-affiliate yourself? That's wild. So you've stolen the whale all for yourself. I even did sub to you. I hard subbed to you when you made your first process video. I was like, I support this. This is what you spit in the face of your subscribers. This is inconceivable. I forgive you. I can't stay mad at you, Drew. So yeah, that's all I got. Join the Moogle's first tournament. Sign up now. The signups are on the Discord. Sign up as a racer if you got more than like 15 or something on the test. Sign up as a mentee if you got 10 or lower. If you got between 10 and 15, search your feelings, I guess. I don't know. It really doesn't matter. You know, sign up for whatever you feel more comfortable doing. If you don't want to coach people, but you still want to participate, be a mentee. If, I don't know. There's no really hard rules for this. So follow your heart and sign up for Ultros League. Gosh darn it. Go sign up for Ultros League. Join up, have some fun in Tonic, make some new friends, hang out. It's good. I got nothing else. That's it. I'm not even gonna raid anybody because why not? Let's not raid. Raiding's for cool people, but yeah, that's it. Join up, sign up in the Discord. That's all I got. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for doing the quiz. Thanks for being great people and chatting and have some questions. Do I have a YouTube? I do. Do I put anything on it? I don't. My YouTube's linked down below. It's in my profile. I will probably try to put this up there, even though I've blathered a lot, so it's probably not very useful. But yeah, I will put it up on my YouTube and I'll link it in the beginner's house. And yeah, that's all I got. Thank you all. Thanks for watching. Thanks for chatting. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Ciao, friends.